Hello everyone and welcome to Cosplay With Me, a talk show where we discuss everything that is important to the cosplay community and whatever pops into our head in between. Today I have my very good friend KRo. You can find her online under the Sleep Chaser. She also runs an Etsy shop where she takes costume commissions. Seraphim City. Yes. I almost blanked on it again. And as all of you may or may not know, I am Angi Viper. I make costumes, I act in YouTube videos, I sing, I dance drunkenly on Twitch, whatever it is that you are looking for. You can find me online under Angi Viper. So, KRo.
Yes.
What is it that you would like to talk about today?
I had so many things I wanted to talk about, but there's a current event that I wanted to talk about. My boyfriend brought it up.
Okay.
My boyfriend is a prop maker, and or aspiring prop maker, I should say, and he cosplays as well. Mm-hmm. And he was saying that he heard in the Phoenix Comicon they banned all props and weapons of any kind because somebody got in with actual loaded guns.
I did hear about that.
Uh-huh. And he was like, oh, that's not fair. Like, one asshole ruined it for everybody. And I was like, well, lately I've been watching Criminal Minds. Like, that's my binge. I love serial killers.
Same.
Yeah, okay. I'm on season 5 now. I'm hooked. And so, like, after watching that, you kind of think about, and I think about it like...
Yeah, you think about things differently after having watched that, right?
Yeah, I enjoy seeing their point of view. Like, they're trying to help the greater good, and you see so many of the NPCs, basically, in that show that are, like... a while ago, we watched the Anthrax... Sorry, I'm going off, but we just watched the Anthrax scare one, and they're like, oh, we can't tell... They have this dilemma of, should we tell the public?
Right,
No, we don't want to
panic.
episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I'm like, that's how I feel. Like, part of me wants to know everything that's going on with the government because Trump, but, like, more of that, like, no, they have to keep things secret so that, whatever, I have to trust that they're doing their jobs, but so...
Allow you to live your life a little bit.
On the micro, that's also how I feel about security at cons. They're just trying to protect us. And of course, if there's a scare and they don't really know what's going on, I would absolutely ban everybody because why take the chance that people could get hurt? So that's where he and I differed because he was like, oh, but you can feel if a prop is made of foam. I'm like, if somebody really wants to cause a havoc, and if they're clever enough, they could figure it out. They could figure out how to cover something in foam. So everyone's like, oh, I don't know. So I just wanted to read up on that.
You are definitely not wrong.
Yeah. Here, let me read, because I don't actually know what happened. My boyfriend, he said that he wasn't part of the con. He didn't have a ticket. He just happened to get in past security, and just happened to be in the con, and then they found him, and I was like, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
But this says it's a lot more dangerous. The New York Post. I've got an article here. We're being very credible. We're not just talking out of our asses.
What does the New York Post say?
New York Post says, the headline is, Phoenix Comic-Con bans prop weapons after armed man is arrested. Jack Young showed up at Phoenix Comic-Con on Friday dressed as the villain from Sleeping Beauty, complete with black horns, large feathery wings, and green paint. He also brought a black walking stick. It was no longer allowed at Comic-Con. Comic-Con imposed drastic security measures Friday after authorities said a man came to the event a day earlier armed with 4 loaded guns, ammunition, and a knife.
Oh my god, that's a lot.
He was ready to...
I had no idea it was that much. I thought he just had, like, a gun.
Yeah, same. Police said the man had threatened to harm a performer and posted online threats against police officers convinced...
It was Jason David Frank.
Yeah, the Green Ranger, right?
Yes.
Convinced he was the alter ego of a Marvel comic book character called the Punisher. In response to the scare, police added taking cosplay a little too far. Added extra security and banned all costume prop weapons, including swords, sabers, and fake guns. Comic-Con fans were not amused, of course. Cosplayers spend a lot of time working on props and costumes and putting things together, Young said. Unique characters with distinct weapons especially rely on their props to be identifiable, he said. Being told not to bring props definitely messes with things. Young was among many other comic book, science fiction, and animation fans frustrated and upset over the sudden ban on fake weapons and added security heavy delays before entering the event.
It is unfortunate that had to happen in the middle of the event.
Yeah.
Because you, as as a convention goer, because this was a similar thing that happened, and I guess it's maybe a little different with the reference that I'm about to mention, but so Disneyland, when the new Star Wars was coming out, had a Season of the Force celebration, and they opened up Tomorrowland to this like whole big celebration of Star Wars, and like revamped a couple of the rides to be in theme with the movies and whatever, and they were allowing Star Wars cosplayers into the park. Now, if anybody is familiar with Disney and the Disney parks, anyone over the age of, I think it's like 10 years old, is not allowed in the park in a costume that looks like the characters, because it can cause confusion for kids and, you know, rapists and murderers and all of that horrible, terrifying stuff. But they were letting Star Wars characters in, which was pretty cool. You know, you can go to Tomorrowland, celebrate Star Wars with fellow fans, whatever. But some people were sneaking in more elaborate costumes, and there were people showing up in like full stormtrooper gear with their like big prop guns. And of course, they're not Disney performers, but they have high quality costumes like Disney performers have. Yeah. So people in the park were obviously getting confused and thinking that they were real performers, but of course they're not, so they don't know how to act in character. And they think they're being hilarious, so they're swinging their guns all around and threatening kids, and the parks...
So Disney had to put the kibosh on it.
Yeah, so the heads of the parks, unfortunately, had to go, all right, this clearly is not working. We're no longer promoting a safe, secure environment for our guests. So, sorry, not sorry. As of tomorrow, no more weapons in the parks. I don't care if they're toys. And no more costumes. So people were showing up to the park the next day with all in their Star Wars costumes, and they're like, sorry, you can't come in. Mm-hmm. And now the nice thing about something like Disneyland is they do understand, and they did, you know, they gave people the opportunity, like, okay, if you're at the hotels, you know, you can go back and change. Like, it's not like you just, like, you're screwed out of the day. I do have a friend who got into trouble at one point in the past with Disney security for what she was wearing. And they were like, do you have a change of clothes? And she was like, no, this is all I have. And they were like, okay, here's a stipend. Go buy yourself a shirt to cover up your nip-nops or whatever it was that she got. I don't totally remember what it was. But they gave her a stipend because they were like, we understand you're here, you know, you've spent the money on your ticket, whatever. But unfortunately you are, you know, breaking our rules, so let us help you. Yeah. So from my understanding, the couple of people that I know personally who had trouble with their Star Wars costumes, Disney did offer them that. But, you know, it is unfortunate, you know, that like sometimes these things happen, and, you know, you are in a situation where, like, say you're staying in a hotel, you live in New York, you've flown out to Phoenix, you know, you have your costumes, or even in the case of what happened at Disneyland, you've flown to Disneyland, you're in a hotel, like, you have what you have. You show up to go to the event, and all of a sudden you're told, you know, sorry, this thing that you had prepared for sucks to be you. But I feel like this is very much a double-edged sword.
It is.
You know, because there is so much to take into consideration. Because I've always felt, as a cosplayer and as someone who has attended conventions with props, I feel like I personally make the choice not to take props to bigger conventions. So somewhere that's going to have a really crowded convention floor, a bunch of small kids running around, things like that, you know. It's just, it's inconvenient to have to carry around that prop. And the fact of the matter is, chances are people are going to understand what character you are without your prop. Yeah. So I personally like to opt, when it's a big event, to leave my prop at home and do a photo shoot with a friend separately where I'm able to have my prop.
In a controlled environment.
Exactly. Exactly. But I do understand that not everyone thinks the way that I do, you know, and they're...
Well, we also have the luxury, sorry to cut you off, we also have the luxury of going to cons all of the time. We live in Southern California where there are cons monthly minimum.
It's true.
So if you're a super fan that works a full-time job and you've spent all this money and all this time recreating Star Wars because you live it, and then this is your one vacation and you can't go into the Star Wars Celebration or you can't go into Phoenix Comicon, and what a huge bummer. Like, I can just imagine what a huge bummer that would be. I get it, but at the same time, safety is paramount.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I've been looking ahead in the article a little bit, and this is the guy, Matthew Sterling. He appears to have mental issues. He told detectives he is a crime... Of course. He is a crime-fighting comic book character and planned to shoot bad police officers. Police said in a plausible cause statement that officers took Sterling into custody at the con after he contacted someone in Hawthorne, California.
What?
Police to report... Someone contacted the Hawthorne, California police to report that he was posting threats on Facebook.
Oh, okay.
About that specific event. Sterling did not have an attorney present during his initial court appearance on Friday. He spoke only briefly, agreeing when a judge told him it might not be in his interest to comment. Christina Hanisch, I didn't read who that was extremely relaxed in terms of security and that they likely allowed for Sterling to get through, but she called the added measures an overreaction and overkill. She was a cosplayer playing Harley Quinn of Suicide Squad. Said she thinks the intensified screenings will negatively affect the convention. Quoted, "This is wrong. They're going to lose so many people. Just watching Facebook posts last night, it was up to like 4,000 comments. 99% of them negative are people saying, I want my money back. Spent all year working on this costume. It's just disappointing. It's rotten." Others said the ban was unfair because not only are weapons essential in completing costumes, they can be extremely costly to build or to buy. It doesn't say how they caught him, how they figured him out. I wonder if
that I would be really interested.
I wonder if the actor was actually in danger before somebody tackled the guy.
Well, from what I understand as an active follower and supporter of Jason David Frank, he was my first crush, can't help it. He was not there.
Oh, okay.
So they were able to apprehend him before he arrived.
Gotcha.
So from what I understand from what he's been posting about the court cases is that the threats that the gentleman in question was making made their way to the police. Convention of authorities were informed, and they were keeping an eye out for him. As soon as he was spotted, he was escorted away.
Gotcha.
Which was when they discovered that he had a bajillion guns and a knife, apparently. Wow. Yeah, it's scary.
Yeah.
It really is terrifying, but I feel like, for me, it brings up a bigger question of security at conventions. You know, because this man should not have been able to make it into the convention. And, like, as far as the prop thing is concerned, like, I understand that it may be inconvenient for many conventions and venues, but I feel like there has to be a way to, like, do prop checks before they even make it through the doors.
Well, isn't that what they do for WonderCon? Like, you have to go to a booth. Have you seen, like, all of Tyler's props have they have their own wristband? Like, on his Harley hammer, yeah.
But the thing is with those, typically, prop check is in a different location from where you pick up your badges.
Inconvenient as well.
So, you know, it's inconvenient for the cosplayer because now you have to pick up your badge and then you have to go to prop check. But a lot of people will not bother going to prop check because they're like, well, I got my ticket, I made it through the main doors, you know, nobody's stopping me, like, why?
Well, then why don't they start stopping people?
Exactly. And that's exactly my point, is I think that this is where I think it brings in a bigger question of security, you know, being being more responsible for these things and more aware of these things.
Right.
Like, if you see someone, if you as security or even as staff, if you see someone walking around a convention with a prop that doesn't have a peace tie on it, you should be approaching that person.
Or maybe not if they're crazy.
Yeah, or like
tell security.
Or you find an authority, like, you know,
I need an adult.
The example of a staff member, yes, maybe they should go find a security person, you know, just for safety. But you know, these people should be getting pointed out, and they should be getting stopped, and you know, not aggressively. Like, listen, I have a story from Anime Expo a few years ago, and this is why I don't take props to Anime Expo anymore.
Okay, tell me.
So I went to Anime Expo about 3 or 4 years ago, and I didn't have a new costume for every day, and I was really excited because it was my first Anime Expo, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna wear my first costume ever, my old Cardcaptor Sakura battle outfit.
Yes.
And it's horrible, like, literally I deleted all the pictures because it was just a bad day. But that's another story. So I made a new wand for it, because at the time the only wand that I had was the toy, and it's like, you know, this big. And as a full-grown woman, it just looks silly. So I was like, I'm gonna make a new wand, and then, like, I'll have a new thing, and it'll be like it's new.
Yeah.
But I didn't have to make a new costume. Genius, I got this. So I made my super shitty fucking prop, because I'm really bad at making props. And it was just cardboard and paper mache and spray paint. And it didn't dry properly. So the head on it, like, kind of flopped like this.
Oh no. like it could break? Oh no.
It was like holding on by a thread. It was so bad.
That's part of the fun of cons, though, I think. Like,
but I was proud of myself. I threw it together in like a day, whatever. So I roll up to the convention, and I pick up my ticket, and I go through the front gate checkpoint, and they check my badge, you know, and they check my bag. And see, that's another point where, like, me walking through the door holding this, like, that person checking my badge should have gone, don't forget to go to prop check.
Yeah.
But nobody said anything. So it was my first time going to a con with a prop. I didn't know that if it's a fucking dowel rod with paper mache on it, that still counts as a weapon. Because everybody had always referred to it as weapons check. And I was like, well, this obviously isn't a weapon. It's a prop. So, like, I don't need to check it. It was a weapons check. It's not a gun. So I didn't know. So I walk through the door, and I make it maybe 3 steps in, and this woman fucking damn near tackles me. Like, came out of goddamn nowhere. She just, like, fucking barrels over, and she grabs me to their shoulder and turns me around all aggressively.
Did she work there?
And she's like, excuse me, ma'am. I need to inspect your prop. And I'm like, what? And she literally rips it out of my hand and starts knocking on it. And she's like, what is this? What is this made of? Is this wood? I'm like, well, it's a dowel rod. And she's like, okay, and what's this? And she starts knocking on the top. And of course, the top already is like going like this. So she's knocking on it, and I'm like, it's paper mache? And she was like, okay, all right. So you know, when you come to a convention with a prop, you need to go immediately to weapons check. And I'm not exaggerating about, like, the tone level of this woman. No. Like, literally every word out of her mouth was like I had done the absolute worst thing like, I had nailed Jesus to the cross in that moment. I was like, I'm so sorry. I was like, I didn't know. Like, I literally just got here. It's my first Anime Expo. It's my first costume with a prop. Like, I don't...
What the fuck?
Are you gonna confiscate it? Like, do I need where is weapons check? Like, I'm like on the verge of tears. Like, I was hysterical. I was like, what do I do? And she, like, wraps the thing around it, and she wrapped it around it so tight that it fucked up the paint. And, like, mind you, I threw it away after that anyway because it was crap. But still, like, she wrapped the thing around it so tight.
So she worked there.
That it destroyed the paint on my staff.
Yeah.
And she, like, hands it back to me, and she's like, for the future, you need to go immediately to weapons check. And I'm like, okay, where is that? And she's like, you need to go immediately to weapons check when you come in with a prop. I'm like, What does that mean? So, like, that to me is an example of shittily handling that.
Yeah.
Where, like, they very easily, when my badge was checked walking through the door...
Weapons check line right there.
Could have gone, don't forget to go to weapons check. And I could have gone, oh, I didn't know that I needed to do that. Where do I go?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, it's upstairs and around the corner.
It's all about how you say it. It's not what you say.
Because I had someone stop me at Long Beach back when it was still Long Beach Comic and Horror Convention. Mm-hmm. I had someone stop me because I had gone as Cassie Hack and I had a plastic baseball bat with me that I had painted to look like a wood bat. And I picked up my badge and I turned around and the gentleman walks up to me and he's like, ma'am, I really hate to tell you this, but you can't have wood props in the convention. And I was like, well, lucky me, because this is plastic. And he was like, well, lucky you indeed. Would you mind if I inspect it so I can get it piece bonded? And I was like, not a problem at all, sir. Handed it over. He knocked on it a couple times to make sure it was plastic, wrapped the thing loosely around the handle, and handed it back to me. Yeah. Thank you, ma'am. Have fun at the convention. Yeah. I was like...
So it should be done.
Round of applause. Because it really, like... To me, it really shouldn't be that difficult. Yeah. To just make sure that these things are being handled.
Yeah, and it's, ultimately it is for the good of everyone, and so if they handle it well, and if you just, once at the beginning of the day, you just handle all of it, and then you can kind of come and go for photo shoots or whatever, yeah, I just, it seems so easily fixed. It seems like such an easily mendable problem.
Exactly. But so that's why I feel like it really is a double-edged sword, because, you know, you have the issue of, I feel like conventions are really just being very lazy about it. You know, they don't want to pay the extra staff members, the staff members don't want to take responsibility.
Yeah, because it's like herding cats. You get all these people to stand in a line when they're excited, they're looking for their friends, I get hangry, staff member tells me what to do, and I'm like, if there's not a Cliff Bar involved, go fuck yourself.
No, exactly, like it is difficult. And I feel like cosplayers could be a little more understanding of staff and security and the difficulty that they have to go through all day dealing with our bullshit.
Oh, yeah.
And at the end of the day, just trying to keep us all safe. And I feel like staff could be a little more understanding of cosplayers that, you know, we did put a lot of time and energy and money, blood, sweat, and tears into these costumes and props.
That is very true.
And, you know, I've a recurring theme in this series is going to be just respect for one another. Because it always is. It always comes back to this for me.
Every time.
But you know, at the end of the day, that really is the bigger issue. Yeah. Is just, like, cosplayers take a step back and think about these situations from the side of staff. You know, like, you're halfway through the convention and you have someone make their way into a convention with weapons with the intent to kill one of your attendees. Like, at the end of the day, their attendees have to be a prime concern to them. You know, because they're paying these people to be here, and they're assuring them you will be safe and secure and comfortable. And if one of them feels threatened, the convention has to do what they have to do to make that person and everybody as a whole feel safe and comfortable and secure. Yeah. And, you know, people who run conventions, you could be a little understanding of cosplayers, and, you know, it is difficult, and we do have a tendency to kind of get in our own heads and go, oh my god, but, like, the props are part of the costume. Yeah. And, like, they're not. Like, you'll live. People are still gonna know you're Sailor Saturn if you don't have her Silence Glaive. Like, people are still gonna know that you're Maleficent if you don't have her staff. People are still gonna know you're Domino if you don't have guns. Like, people are gonna get it. But I do understand you worked hard on this and you want to show that off. And, you know, maybe there's some kind of compromise that they could have come to where, like, they have maybe, like, an outside space for photo shoots where, like, you can check out your prop. Like, you have to check in your prop when you go inside.
Probably they did. Let me try to find another article. It sounds like the day after they just banned all props. Or maybe even the same day. Here's one from The Hollywood Reporter. Oh my god, it's the exact same article. Phoenix Comicon info.
All media.
Yep. It literally starts with the same Maleficent cosplayer quote.
Doing great.
Oh, this is the policies. You know, I don't know how they handled it. I haven't found an article. But it sounds like in the future everybody could just be... Cons really should have tighter security, and us as con goers should understand that they're just doing their job to keep us safe. And, you know, read the rules before you go, make sure you go to weapons check, make sure... Yeah, we all want to be there to feel safe and have a good time, and we all know, especially us as women, know all too well that crazies just show up and think they can approach you and touch you and talk to you and take photos. So, there's all types of people at cons. Anybody can buy a ticket, anybody can go. Even a guy who fancies himself as the Punisher and wants to kill bad cops. So,
there's crazy people out there.
I say tighten security. I will make an effort to go early and wait in those secure lines. I think that's the only answer moving forward.
I agree.
And I'm sure Phoenix Comicon, because that's not a small con. Like, that's nothing to scoff at.
God,
so
no.
I'm sure they compensated their people well, compensated their attendees.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I would just assume for business standpoint.
Yeah.
Also, because it's such a big con, as I said, we have the luxury of going to lots and lots of different kinds of cons. You get invited to many cons. You bring me once in a while and let me be on a panel with you. I'm no big deal. I'm new here. Anyway, you know, there are bigger cons like San Diego. Like, I don't even go to San Diego anymore. It's not worth all the trouble for me because it's
nonsense.
It's too big. Yeah. But like WonderCon, Long Beach Comic Expo, those have tighter security than... Where did we go? What was the one in Ontario? Comic-Con Revolution, which I loved. But was there security there? I don't think there was. I mean, yeah, we went in the same door.
Maybe saw like 2 people.
We went in the same door everybody else did.
Yeah.
So, like, and I think just because it was a smaller con, they just assumed it wouldn't be such a huge target.
Yeah, and that I think is the difference. Is like a smaller convention in its first, second, third year. Like, obviously they're not going to have the budget for huge staff and for lots of security. But a bigger event like Phoenix, a bigger event like San Diego, like WonderCon, like Kamikaze, like there's no excuse for these events to not have a quality security staff. Uh-huh. Like, and that's not even a question of having like 400 billion security guards. It's a question of having people who understand what their job is and who do it, who follow through on it. Mm-hmm. You know, and it's at that point, it's just about communication. It's about solid communication. And if somebody's not stepping up to the plate, fucking firing them and getting someone else who is going to do their job.
And I think definitely, because of this scare, fortunately nobody got hurt, but I think it's also causing awareness, and other cons are going to go, oh, maybe we should be aware of that.
It's absolutely a ripple effect within, because there's so many conventions around the country, and like any little thing that happens is big news to cons.
It's true. Like, the community is, even though it's nationwide, worldwide, it's still small enough where if it happens to one of us, it kind of happens to all of us.
Yeah.
Type of thing. So, fortunately, no one got hurt, and we can use this example to learn from it.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how it affects conventions moving forward, because we haven't really had a con since Phoenix, right? It was Phoenix and Fandom happened the same weekend.
Yeah, I mean, it was just a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
So
it'll be interesting to see if upcoming conventions, like for us, we've got Anime Expo, D23, San Diego Comicon.
AX, I feel like, was already really good about having their security was pretty detailed and really well organized.
Yeah.
But that's one of the biggest cons, I think, in the country.
Yeah, they kind of have to.
They know what they're doing.
For the most part.
Yeah. Well, I only
give or take. They learn from their mistakes.
I only went once as an attendee, so that's my point of view. I thought it went really smoothly. I had a great time. You as a guest, probably.
Oh, I've never been a guest.
Oh.
I do feel like Anime Expo learns from their mistakes,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that also is really important. That Phoenix Comicon for the future looks at what happened, why this happened,
Mm-hmm.
and how they reacted to it, and learn from all of the mistakes that they made. Because at the end of the day, they fucked up. They fucked up really bad. He should not have been able to get through those doors. It should not have taken them so long to find him. There's no way that he should have been able to get through with those weapons. Like, even if it's a question of just installing metal detectors or something,
like
when you have to go through the doors.
Disney's
like,
pretty smooth. Disneyland.
You know, you gotta do what you gotta do.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think that banning all props at a con is a little ridiculous. Like, you want to do something like Disneyland and be like, no guns. Fine. Chances are people are still gonna know what the fuck you are if you don't have a gun. Like, it's a goddamn gun.
Within the Disney realm, maybe, if you're going as kind of a niche video game character and you're going to an anime expo, that might be a little more of a... I would argue
guess
that.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But, like, you know, I think about the characters that come to mind for me. Like, the Punisher, the shirt is what's iconic.
Yeah,
people are gonna know you're the Punisher. Domino, the eye, and the bodysuit are what's iconic. Like, you don't need a gun in your hand.
Right.
Deadpool is fucking Deadpool. Like, you don't need a gun for people to know that you're Deadpool.
You don't even need the swords, you know.
So
you don't need that stupid
it's...
unicorn either.
Really? That's a whole other episode.
Sorry, there's me throwing opinionated shade at Deadpool. Cut that out.
But you know, I do agree that, like, there are some characters that have very iconic weapons that it does help. So, like, you know, earlier I mentioned Sailor Saturn. I cosplay Sailor Saturn, and I feel naked without her glaive. Mm-hmm. Because it is such an important part of her character, and it is such an iconic part of her image. And yes, absolutely, people would still get that I was Sailor Saturn without the glaive.
Right.
But, you know, it is preferable to be able to have it.
Mm-hmm. Fun, better photos. Yeah, I feel you.
So I do feel like it kind of depends, but I would not be surprised if, at the very least, guns and weapons that look like guns are banned in the future.
Oh, I didn't think of that. I just assumed they would allow guns but have better security. But you're right, that costs more money, more manpower, more time waiting in line. Yeah, it would be easier to just ban all gun-looking things. Oh, but that's no fun. We want to have our props.
I mean, it sucks, but...
I think Phoenix did the right thing in response to the attack and banning all props. I understand the issue that it caused, the inconvenience that it caused everybody.
But ultimately, a flash judgment had to be made,
and you want to keep people safe, and you don't know if the guy was working alone.
Yeah,
right?
It really is just the safest and easiest response that you can go straight to is nothing.
Yeah, why risk it if he had an accomplice or something?
Exactly.
So, yeah, that was my thoughts on it. That's current events in the cosplay universe. So I'm glad we covered that.
Yeah, me too. Well, if you guys have any thoughts on this subject, I would love to hear them in the comments below. If you have enjoyed the series, please let me know if you have a topic that you'd like us to discuss. Also, please always feel free to submit that. If you would like to check out my good friend KRo, where can they find you?
Instagram as The Sleep Chaser. That's my personal account. And then I have my Etsy shop, Seraphim City, where I take cosplay commissions, and I do the Snorlax beanbag chairs.
They're super cute.
I should actually bring one and we should film one one day.
You should.
That's what I should do.
Okay. Boom. Done. plan made. As always, I do want to give a shout out to my patrons. You guys make everything possible. I would not be able to be here if it wasn't for you. And congratulations, you guys got to see this episode first before anybody else, which is pretty sweet. If you are interested in becoming a patron, the link is in my profile, as well as all of my social media links, assuming that you are not already following those. Thank you all so much for watching our debut episode of Cosplay With Me. So exciting! I really hope you guys enjoy this, and I am so looking forward to covering more topics in the future.